Thank you, Dr. Cerf, for accepting this interview. I know that you have been quite hectic those few days with the conference going on, and for us at Knowledge 7 it was important to be able to talk to you, especially given that there are a lot of young people in Mauritius, and for many reasons maybe they won't have the opportunity to hear from you. So we want to give you the possibility to talk to those young people, because at the end of the day those young people are going to rule the world one of these days. We asked a few of our employees, young employees, for some questions, and one of them asked us, what did you want to become when you were a kid?
When I was a young child, about 10 years old, I knew I wanted to be a scientist. There was no question about that. I'd read books about science, and I got a chemistry set. And so I had an opportunity to experiment with all kinds of interesting chemicals. And I can tell you in 1953, you got a lot more interesting chemicals in the chemistry set than you would get today. Mm-hmm. Things that would blow up, but it was great. So I was always interested in mathematics. I liked chemistry. I liked physics. I would read Scientific American. I always knew I was going to be a scientist. I just didn't know what kind.
And then a few years afterwards, you invented TCP/IP together with Bob Kahn. The question is, how come you came across this so wonderful suite of protocol called TCP/IP? How come you came up with something which is so resilient, so good, that until now it's working so well?
So first of all, we were faced with solving a particular problem. We had multiple computer networks that we needed to interconnect to each other and make it look like one big uniform network, to suppress all the differences. And so we were really focused on the engineering problem. And in a sense, the solution just comes out of the problem itself. If you're lucky to express the problem in a way that exposes the solution, then you just go and do the work, which is basically what we did. Now, to be honest, it took 10 years, from 1973 to 1983, to refine the answer to the point where we could turn the network on, which we did in 1983. So what you're running today is a solution that started literally 30 years ago.
But did you expect the internet to become so massive like it is today?
Absolutely. I mean, our entire design was built around the idea that if someone could build a piece of internet according to our design and find someone to connect to, that it would work. And so the network literally grew in a very organic way, with people building pieces of it, finding someone to connect to, and then allowing the system to expand. And so it's been growing ever since it was turned on.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, I would just like to ask you a naive question. We've learned that you're the chief evangelist at Google. So what does a chief evangelist do? What's the typical day of a chief evangelist at Google?
It's very interesting. The title is Chief Internet Evangelist, so I only evangelize about the internet. My primary job is to find a way to get more internet built all around the world. It's one reason why I'm here in Mauritius. We spoke with the president yesterday. There's no question that communications, networking, education, and electrical power and reliable environments are necessary to take advantage of the internet. Typical day for me involves a speech or two. It might mean meeting with a few scientists or engineers who have ideas that they would like to discuss. Some people will ask, will I buy their company, or will I license the latest patented design? I spend time on university campuses talking to young people about the problems that still remain with the internet that need to be solved. Mm-hmm. Some of them are really hard. You would get a PhD dissertation by solving those problems. But the idea is to get those problems in front of people who want to try to find hard things to solve. Mm-hmm. So I spend a good deal of my time doing that. I spend time with policymakers in government to try to help shape the policy that will allow more internet to be built, to allow for competition, to allow openness so that anyone with a new idea can build an application, put it on the net, and let someone else get access to it, which is where Google came from. Mm-hmm. An idea from two students at Stanford, just put it up on the net, and it just grew.
Mm-hmm. And how do you see things evolving in small countries like Mauritius, Africa, compared to what is happening in the US?
Well, first of all, remember that the U.S. starts in the same kind of way that you're starting. Everyone starts small and then you grow. So Mauritius is no different. You need to have reliable power. You need to have not only engineers, but you need to have business people, salespeople, marketing people. You have to have people who know how to run a business. You have to have people thinking about marketing to the rest of the world as well as the domestic economy in order to take advantage of a bigger economy than your own. After all, there's only about 1.3 million here.
Yeah.
So you need to be thinking outside as well. The universities have to be very diverse in terms of what they can produce. You have to have policies that will invite people to come into the country to participate with you in growing these capabilities. But some people worry that, oh, we're too late. The internet's been around for 40 years and we're too late. You're never too late. You're always starting with everybody else with the next thing that happens in the net, with the next design, with the next invention, with the next new communication technology. So just get on the wagon and keep going with everybody else.
Okay. There are a number of people who say, and sometimes I'm among them, who say that our education system in Mauritius tends to create people who are relatively passive. Do you think that because of the internet, things are going to change quickly? People are going to become more and more active, more and more will discover what their passion really is?
This is a cultural question, and it's very hard for me to answer that. I can say that the more you know, the more curiosity you have, and the more your curiosity is satisfied by being able to get answers off the net. Perhaps that will be an incitement, even to see what other young people are doing around the world,
Exactly.
watching YouTubes and things like that, may cause our younger people to feel empowered to go do something. But in terms of being, aggressive about pursuing ideas, this is partly cultural, and you need to reinforce the feasibility of exploring new ideas.
But do you think that in the coming years, countries where creativity is valued are going to have an advantage over those countries where...
Let me explain something to you. The incidence of smart and creative people is constant per thousand in population everywhere in the world.
So the distribution is the same.
So it's the same everywhere. Whether they get an opportunity to explore that creativity and inventiveness is a different question. What is the environment like? Are they encouraged? Do they have resources to explore? But the actual native capability to invent and create is the same everywhere. And so you should not lose track of the fact that you have your share of inventive and creative people.
We know, because we have been reading on the net, that you're working right now on interplanetary internet. So the internet between Earth and Mars.
That's right.
Can you tell us a few words about it?
Well, first of all, we concluded some 15 years ago that we should have rich communication capability for exploring the solar system with robotic spacecraft and with manned spacecraft. And so our intent is to provide networking capability that will allow all these various devices to communicate with each other the same way we communicate across the internet on Earth. So that system is actually in operation now between Earth and Mars. We have orbiters and satellites in orbit around Mars talking to the rovers on the ground. All that data is coming back to Earth. The same communication methods are sitting on the International Space Station. And there is a spacecraft in orbit around the Sun called Epoxy, which has visited 2 comets in the last 10 years, and it too has been outfitted with this interplanetary capability. So what we intend to do is to keep launching satellites with these new communication protocols, and as time goes on, we'll build an interplanetary backbone to support manned and robotic space exploration.
But do you think that people are going to go on Mars in the coming years, or it's going to take
there's a lot that has to happen in order to support a manned mission to Mars. We have to support life for 9 months to get there, then another some 6 months to be on the planet before you can come back, and that's another 9 months, so it's a 3-year mission. There's a lot still to be learned before we know how to keep people safe. So for my money, I'd rather send robots out there for now to learn as much as possible about what the environment is like before we try to send people.
Okay.
So, how do you see the internet evolving in the future? I mean, when you were working on the TCP/IP, I imagine you didn't think about how it would be so far-reaching. What you're working right now, do you think it's going to be the same?
Well, first of all, we did know what was going to happen, or we had a pretty good idea. I don't have time to give you all the background. A lot of the applications that you see today we were doing 30 years ago was just not so much. And it was capacity that has allowed everyone to take advantage of things like email, which were invented in 1971. And laptops were actually thought of in 1972. Workstations, desktop machines, were in use in 1973. It's just that they cost $50,000 each. So speed and cost, higher speed, lower cost, have contributed to what you see today. Mobiles are the natural result of reduced size, reduced power requirement, reduced cost. So looking towards the future, there's no question that every appliance that we have around the house and in the office and in the car that we carry with us will be internet capable, they'll be communicating with each other, they'll be responsive to questions that we ask and to control commands that we give. Our computers will be part of our sensory environment. Google Glass will allow a computer to be with us, seeing what we're seeing, hearing what we're hearing, and being our partner in our interactions with the world. Virtual reality and augmented reality will be part of the normal thing. The computer glasses will let you see information when you're looking at some real thing. All of that's absolutely clear. Medical instrumentation will be normal. We'll all be very instrumented. Our bodies will be examined and monitored 24 hours a day, in which case, if there are any problems, they will become more apparent much earlier than if you have to wait till you get sick to go to the doctor to find out you have a problem.
And there's this initiative, the self-quantified self.
That's exactly what quantified self is, exactly that.
Yeah.
So we have a lot to look forward to. Neural electronics, cochlear implants, ocular implants, spinal implants to recover the use of arms and legs that are not working because of a spinal injury. All that is absolutely clearly in the future and not all that many years away.
So speaking of Google, which is quite different from other technological companies, because instead of focusing on technology for the sake of technology, you do technology as a means for people to have a better life. For instance, self-driven cars, etc., etc. Do you know if Google has plans for Mauritius right now?
We don't have specific plans for Mauritius. We have an interest in general in Africa. We have incited some businesses to start in Kenya, for example. There is activities in TV white spaces, which is a new way of getting access to the internet that's happening in South Africa. So we have a real interest. One of the reasons we're coming here is to find out more about Mauritius, what its conditions are, how well trained are the people, what is the connectivity, communications connectivity, what about available power. So all those things are part of the story of figuring out whether there's things to do here. But we believe that access to the internet gives you access to everything that Google has available. And you can build on top of that platform, as many other people have. You don't have to wait for us to show up. It's already there if you get good access to the internet.
And a last question. Do you have any specific message for young people in Mauritius who are going to watch this video later?
Yes, I do. First of all, I want you to take the time to learn about science, mathematics, engineering. You have an opportunity to make a difference in the world. I happen to be an engineer. The secret to engineering is turning science fiction into reality. That's what engineering does. You can do that too, but you have to stay in school and you have to learn and you have to apply what you've learned. Maybe you'll change the world too.